Hey pal, it's me Sam. What do you say we take a walk together? I'll let you get to know about me a little bit. Tell you a little bit about my backstory, how I got here as a content creator. Alright, let's do it. So the reason I chose to make this video in this style is because when I really first started on YouTube, I started by doing walking tours just like this. I'd have a GoPro. At the time I had a GoPro Hero 8. I have a GoPro Hero 11 now. That's what I'm using to record. Yeah. My channel originally, right now it's called The Real Sam Alkhatib. Originally it was called The Real Staten Island. I am from Staten Island, New York. I am no longer from Staten Island, New York, which is why I changed my name to The Real Sam Alkhatib. Because if I had people from Staten Island finding out that I was calling myself The Real Staten Island and I was no longer living there, I would no longer exist. So, to protect myself, no, I'm kidding. But it was just like, you know, I felt uncomfortable being like the Staten Island walking tour guy when I wasn't living there anymore, you know? So I changed it. I was like, all right, I went through a few names in between, but then I settled down. I was like, you know what? Why don't I just name it The Real Me? You know what I mean? The Real Sam Alkhatib. And it's funny because what I think about is the fact that, like, my channel is called The Real Sam Alkhatib, yet I play everybody but Sam Alkhatib when I make videos. I have many different characters at this point, and Sam Alkhatib is like none of them. You know? In the end, they're all me. What could you do? Yeah, but so I got started out on YouTube making long-form content like this. I would just walk around with my GoPro, show off my favorite parts of Staten Island, and, you know, that started to gain some traction. I had about 1,200 subscribers off of just making that walking tour content. Everybody who was my subscriber was somebody from Staten Island, you know, which was naturally the case. You know, it was a very niche specific topic. You know, only people really from Staten Island, maybe parts of New York City, were going to enjoy that style of content. But I did it anyway just because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it. And I said, let's just keep going with this. There's plenty of people who do walking tour videos and from obscure places, and they do well. So I said, let's just see what happens. And as I kept going, at some point, a friend of mine was like, hey man, you know, this TikTok thing is really kind of blowing up, you know? And I was aware of TikTok, and I had seen a few videos on there that people shared with me, but I really didn't have much interest of going on there, if I'm honest. Like, I was like, oh, it's for kids. I was one of those guys who was like, oh, it's for kids to make dancing videos and all this other stuff. I was like, I have no interest. I'm strictly a YouTuber. You know what I mean? I wanted to just do YouTube long form content. And then I started really taking a look. You know, I downloaded the app, and I was just kind of like, wow, there's really something to this. You know what I mean? Like, there's clearly, you know, people are clearly enjoying this. People are getting millions of views. There are people with millions of followers. This isn't just some silly app. So it piqued my interest, and I said, you know what? Maybe I'll give it a shot. So I was making these walking tour videos, and I said to myself, you know, why don't I just clip up little pieces of my YouTube videos and kind of use them as promotion on TikTok? Just take little segments where, like, something funny happened or something cool happened or I saw something cool, and why don't I just take little 30-second, 1-minute clips and throw that on TikTok, see what happens. So I did, and I was doing that. I was just clipping out little things that happen in my walking tour videos, And when I did that, at first, like, nothing really happened. Maybe got, you know, 100 followers at some point, which was really cool, don't get me wrong. But it was like, all right, like, maybe, you know, I don't know if this is worth it. I was posting like a clip a day for like, you know, maybe 2-3 weeks, close to a month, something like that. And when I did that, nothing was really happening. I never really got a video that broke like more than a couple of 100 views, you know? So I was like, all right, this isn't anything spectacular, but you know what, let's just keep it going, see what happens. And then one day, I took a clip from one of my long-form walking tour videos of me walking into the Staten Island Railway. For those of you unfamiliar, Staten Island, New York has one train that runs from the North Shore to the South Shore. And I walk in there with my GoPro. I'm just kind of doing a walking tour of the Staten Island Railway. I was going to walk in there, hop on the train, take a ride all the way from the North Shore to the South Shore. And I walk into the train station. I have my GoPro. I'm pointing. I'm just kind of pointing as I'm walking. And I don't know where to go because, like, I really just never take the train. I was always taking the bus to school and around and everything. I never really took the train. So I walk onto the platform. I see a lady in the back of the train. I go, hey, which train goes to Tottenville, which is the other side of Staten Island? As I say that, the train just starts moving. Wasn't her fault. She was not the conductor. She was just working on there. She's standing there like, you would have had to get on this one. And like, I caught this on camera. And so she goes, you would have had to get on this one. And I'm just standing there like, oh man, okay, I guess I'll get the next one. She's like, yep. I was like, thank you. She's like, you're welcome. It was just a funny exchange. And I saw that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to clip that up, throw it on TikTok, see what happens. 5 million views. 5 million views that got. I posted it again later. You know what I mean? Just because I was like so fascinated that it got to. I think it got like 8 million views the second time. That's really the first video that introduced me to the TikTok world. You know, a lot of people probably remember that video and don't really realize that it was me. Because in the video, I'm wearing an orange hat and I'm wearing a mask. It was COVID, you know? So, yeah, that was me. It was me, pal. Yeah, so that did well, and that really got my juices going. You know what I mean? I was like, wow. This is powerful. There's something to this. I was posting these walking tours, and if I got 3,000 views on a video, I was like, wow, I am a YouTuber. Look at me. I made it. I am so great at this, you know? Which, you know, it's okay to be proud of yourself. You know, it was just like, that was my bar at that point. Like 3,000, my next goal was like 5,000 views. And then I hit 5 million. And then it really gets you thinking. You know, I'm sure any content creator who's experienced that can agree on that sensation of just like, wow, you just reached another level, you know? The thing was, I made that video and it was great and all, but I didn't really have anything else that compared to that level of like humor, real life experience humor. And I was like, man, where am I gonna take this new growth, you know? Like off of that video alone, I think I got about like 5,000 followers, something like that, you know, 4,000 or 5,000, which was cool because then I was able to start live streaming and all these things, and it was really great. It was great to just kind of have access to all these new avenues, you know? So yeah, that happened. I started making more like original content just for TikTok. I of course continued posting clips of my YouTube videos, but it was like none of them did as well or even close to as well as that, simply because like I had no other real exchanges like that. But you know, I kept at it. Then I started making like original stuff, and I would do trends that were related to Staten Island. Again, my channel was called The Real Staten Island at the time. I kept that name and brought it over to TikTok. So I'm making all this content about Staten Island, all these things. I'm trying other little things here and there. And then somewhere along the way, somewhere around like maybe 10,000, 15,000 followers, you know, I built that up just from making like funny comedy sketches and, you know, more YouTube clips, and people started to kind of know that like I was from Staten Island. So a lot of people from Staten Island, maybe around New York City, were following me, you know. And at this point, I'm strictly posting to TikTok. You know, I kind of stopped making the walking tours just because I was doing well on TikTok. So I just kind of put that aside. Would still post clips to my TikTok, but was mainly doing strictly TikTok content. And then this is where things really started to change for me. This is really where like the trajectory of where I was headed really changed, because I really don't know where I was headed before that. I was just gonna post Staten Island content, see what happened. It was frustrating because like I knew I was moving away from Staten Island. I had bought a house in New Jersey, and it was a struggle, man. It was like, this is crazy. Like I built this whole thing up, you know, and now like I'm gonna have to switch to something else, and I don't know what I'm gonna do, you know. Yeah, so you know, I'm going through all these struggles and this and that, and then one day I get a DM on Instagram. You know, I had started posting to Instagram as actually, you know what, I don't even know if I was posting videos to Instagram. I think I just had an Instagram, and like I posted my long form videos on Instagram at the time. I wasn't posting like shorts or reels. I don't even know if reels existed. This was like 2021, you know. So I get a DM from a guy named Zach. Zach is the inventor of zany trains. For all of my really far back followers, like my OG followers, you know where this is going, okay? So Zach reaches out to me. He goes, hey man, I see all this Staten Island content you're creating. I love it. My name's Zach. I'm also from Staten Island. I am a toy inventor. I invented these toy trains. They're kind of like the Thomas the Tank Engine trains, but from Staten Island. Would love it if you could show my toy trains to your followers. And I said, absolutely. 1000%. Very specific to my channel. You know what I mean? I love toys and nostalgia and all these things, and they were kind of like designed around like the idea of, you know, garbage pail kids and all these things. And he really got into it. I saw he was passionate about what he was doing. Like he wasn't just trying to make money off of toys. Like he just enjoyed what he was doing, you know, and was really into his creation here. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it, bro. I said, send me one of each train, one of each character. There were 6. I didn't have like a toy train set or nothing. I was like, if you could buy me like a toy train set, I'll see what I could do, like come up with something fun. He said, absolutely. He sent it my way. And when I tell you, like not a lot of people know this, but from my own personal story, like it really, like reflecting back, it was really interesting the way it happened. When I tell you that I was leaving Staten Island, right? Like I was moving from Staten Island. The night that I was leaving to move to New Jersey, like, and to never come back and live in Staten Island, was the night that Zach came by and dropped off those trains. You know? Almost felt like a little parting gift. Looking back, like a little, like, hey, like, you know, you'll always be from here, sort of. I don't know. It meant something to me. Maybe to no one else, but it was just kind of nice how that moment kind of led to my success now. And it was like the night that I was leaving. I won't get too into all that, but long story short, he gives me the trains. I take them, I bring them to New Jersey, because I literally grabbed these trains. They were the last thing I ever did as a Staten Island resident, was grab these toy trains from Zach. Grab them, and I drive to Jersey. I'm moving into my house, I'm doing all these things. I'm looking at these trains, I'm going, man, what the heck am I gonna do with these trains? I had no plan. I just thought it was cool that he even reached out. I had never done a brand deal. I had never done anything before. You know, this wasn't necessarily a brand deal, but it was just like, it was cool that like a company, even a small one, was interested in me, you know, showing people their stuff. It kind of felt nice that that was even happening. And then, so I have these trains, they're sitting in my room for a couple of weeks. I'm talking to my friends, I'm like, man, like this, I feel so bad. This guy like gave me these trains, like I don't know what to do with them. You know, like, he's a small company, and I don't want to like let him down and all these things. And, you know, I go home, I'm really sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, what am I going to do? Like, am I just going to hold up these toy trains and be like, hey, buy zany trains. Have a good day. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, that's lame. It's, you know, it's doable, and sometimes if that's all you got, that's fine. But I was like, I knew I could be more creative than that. I knew I could come up with something better. So I was like, you know what? Let me think for a second. I set up the toy train track. I put all the trains in a little circle on the train track, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, you know, what if I had these trains have a conversation? What if I had them have a conversation with each other? They're from Staten Island. What if I had them say things like Staten Islanders would say? So I dropped my first video, my first toy train video. For anybody who's unfamiliar with them, go to my shorts and scroll all the way down. You'll see them. The first one I made, you know, I just had them saying random lines, just like the first line I ever said was like, Maron, these tracks are worse than the Staten Island Expressway, you know? And then the next guy goes, hey, go back to Jersey. You know? One guy's like, hey, anybody want an Arizona from the deli? You know what I mean? Like, all these things that like I've said over the years as a Staten Islander, you know what I mean? So, and I'm sure a lot of other Staten Islanders have. So, yeah, I dropped that video. Gets 1 million views. That was the first time I did anything even close to that first video I did with the lady on the train. With from the walking tour videos. And I also thought it was funny looking back later on how like my first viral video, trains were involved, and then like the thing that propelled me later was with toy trains. You know, I don't know. I'm like that sometimes. I connect dots that don't exist but are pretty interesting to think about. Yeah, so, you know, it did well. When I tell you guys, listen to me right now. When I tell you I had no plan of making more than one video, zero plan of making more than one video, I was like, let me just make this video for this guy. You know? Did somebody a nice favor. I got some experience, thought it was cool, you know? And I was on my way to go do other things and figure out what I was going to do next. Lo and behold, this was the thing that I was doing next. You know? keep an eye out for opportunities, you know. So yeah, I made another one after that, and another one after that, and another one after that. Don't mind me switching hands every now and again. My shoulders are burning right now. But I made another train video, and another train video, and another train video, and they were doing well. Some got in the millions. Like the lowest amount of views they were getting in the beginning was like 100,000 views. Besides that one video I posted, that one clip that got 5 million, I was averaging maybe, you know, 5,000 views at this point. I was getting anywhere from 100 views to 10,000, depending on what I was posting. Maybe had a couple of videos that got like 80,000, you know? Now, like, my minimum amount of views was 100,000 with these toy train videos. I was like, wow, there's really something here. Kept making them, started to die down a little bit. Views started to decline. I was like, wow, that's sad. Like, why is that? So I started doing some thinking, and I thought, like, man, like, I think it's just the randomness of it all. There needs to be some structure to it. So I thought, hey, what if they had, like, conversations about topics, you know? I always tended to throw in, like, little jokes about Arizona iced tea, which is something, I love Arizona iced tea. It was like, you know, I mentioned in my previous video, for anybody who watched the other long form video I made just yesterday. I don't know when I'm gonna post this, but I dropped that video yesterday. I drank Arizona iced tea almost every day from like 10 years old to 25 years old. You know what I mean? Just one of those things, you grab an Arizona with your sandwich. It was $1. Couldn't beat it. And it tasted great, you know? So I said to myself, you know, it would be great if I just made like one of these toy train videos and I had them only talk about Arizonas, like what their favorite Arizona flavors are. And so I did that, and it did extremely well. Like, I don't think it got 1 million views, but for the first time, like, my engagement was crazy. You know what I mean? That was the first time my engagement was like, you know, the other videos, I think it was just like the wow factor of like, wow, look at these little crazy trains and this guy talking in a Staten Island accent, having conversations. So like, people were watching it. You know what I mean? So like, it got views. But like, as far as like likes and comments and shares and things like that, like, wasn't crazy. You know, it got 1 million views, but it wasn't like being shared all over the place, you know? I made the video where they're talking about Arizona iced teas, and my engagement was through the roof. You know what I mean? It was like people were commenting their favorite flavors of everything. You know? Everybody wanted to share their favorite Arizona flavor. Everybody wanted to say which Arizona flavor they hated. You know what I mean? Like, both sides of the coin there. Yeah. Everybody wanted to mention, like, why I didn't mention this flavor or that flavor. So it was just, like, wild to see. You know what I mean? So I did it again and again. I made a bagel video. Then I made a pie video. Then I made a McDonald's video. And I was like, wow. And they were just doing great every time. The views were better than before. I was probably averaging about 300,000 views at this point. And the engagement was triple, quadruple the original sets of videos. Just because there was structure to them. There was topics now. And then from there, at some point, views started to go down again, you know? Not that people didn't like the videos, you know what I mean? It was just like, kind of became pretty bland and similar. Simply because every video, if you go back to those toy train videos, anybody who's interested to go take a look, you know? If you look at those videos, it's really just toy trains standing still, not doing anything, no facial expressions, no mouth movement, no hand gestures, no nothing. It's just pictures of them and then my voice in the background. And I thought to myself, like, man, like, how could I make these videos even better? And that's when it hit me. I was like, what if these conversations were being done with people? That's where most of you watching this, if anybody's watching this, that's where most of you are now familiar with me from. The moment I made that decision to make those exact videos where I'm just having conversations about food topics and what my favorites are and what other people's favorites are. The decision to turn those into videos where it's people having the conversations, that is what propelled me to right now. You know, that is what really changed the game. Posted my first one. I literally took the audio from the first toy train video I made where I had topics, which was Arizona iced tea. I just took that audio and I lip synced it. I mimicked the sound. I would listen to a line and then I'd say it like that. And then I just matched the audio from that video while I was at the table, you know? I literally just went to I grabbed 6 shirts because there were 6 trains. I had 6 chairs at my table. Threw a shirt over each chair. You know, bought a couple of pizza pies and bought 6 different flavors of Arizona, the ones mentioned in the video. Went from seat to seat, recorded all the lines, clipped it up, put it out there. It did amazing. You know, I think it got 700,000 views in a day, and this time the engagement was quadruple what it was when I first did it with the toy trains. You know, had those conversations, and it just, I was like, wow, there's really something. I started getting like DMs from people, you know, like it was like, a lot more people were following after watching those videos. Like the toy train videos, like people were watching them, it was cool, but like my following never really shot up, you know. Got to maybe like 100,000 on TikTok, 30,000 on Instagram, which are great numbers, but it's like, you know, it wasn't like blowing up. These are great numbers to have, and it's amazing to even get that many, but it's like, I knew more could be done. You know, I knew that more people could enjoy this if I were to present it in a certain way. And I had finally found it. You know, people can relate more to people having conversations than they can to toy trains having conversations, is what the bottom line is. So I did that, and the rest is history. You know, I made more and more and more. I'm to the point now where I have lore involved, and there's characters, and sometimes they wear suits, and so I'm trying to figure all that out. For all of my OG fans and my new fans and everybody who's been following me along the way, I'm sorry for all the confusion. I was kind of figuring all of this stuff out with you guys, if I'm honest. You know, I was making videos, they were doing well, I was doing different things, and then not really thinking about like how things can connect together. I was just making videos, and then they started doing well, and I just really didn't know like what specific direction to take it in. But now that I see like there's a way to go about it, I'm going to take some time and really think about what we could do with this, you know? If anybody has suggestions, don't ever be afraid to send me a message, an email, DM me, leave a comment, something, you know, with like an idea as to what you would want to see. You know, because I'm trying, like I said, I'm figuring it out with you guys. You know, there's the 6 characters, by the way, just so you know. A lot of people get confused as to who's who, simply because it's my face on all of them. They don't always wear the same outfits because it's not really something I thought about as in-depth as I should have, if I'm honest. I tried to, once I started realizing like, oh wow, like people are associating outfits to characters and things like that, I started trying to pay a little more attention to it. But so many people had seen these videos at a certain point that it was kind of too late to kind of clear things up. So I'll clear it up right here. There are 6 characters. They are based off of the 6 zany trains. There is Teddy and Terry, Steve and Tony. Those 4 names are the names from the zany trains. Okay? There are zany trains characters that have those names. I just named them that as homage, you know? Tony and Steve are the names of my 2 cousins. I had named 2 of the zany trains which had the names Plead and Plod or something like that. They were just names I couldn't really work with, so I had asked Zach, I said, hey, could I name them something different? Just so I could have like more, you know, conversations that are easier to have with names like Steve and Tony, which are my cousins' names. He said absolutely. So those 4 names are from the zany trains. Then there's Sonny. I named him Sonny because one of the characters of the zany trains was named Susie. And she was the pink toy train, for anybody watching this who was a toy train fan. That her name was Susie. And I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to name my character Susie. So, as homage, I wanted to keep the first letter. I named him Sonny. That's where the name Sonny came from. It's not Sonny from A Bronx Tale. It's not anything like that. Sonny's a cool name, and it started with an S. And then there's Tommy. Tommy's the one with the regular glasses, not the sunglasses. That's Teddy. I named him Tommy because there was another girl zany train character named Teresa. And again, I said, you know, I'm not going to name my character Teresa. Let me name him Tommy. Starts with a T. It's a cool name. And the rest was history. So all together we have Teddy, Terry, Sonny, Tony, Steve, and Tommy. And there's a few other little characters I've created along the way, but those are the 6 main guys at the table there that you see that I've been working with up to this point. And yeah, extremely grateful to all of you that have stuck it out with me from the very beginning. Extremely grateful to those of you who are here now and enjoy what I do. This is all I've ever really wanted to do, you know, make content. YouTube came out in 2005. The second I saw it, I knew this is what I want to do. I want to make videos and post them on the internet and let people enjoy them. That was my goal in life, you know? And I love that I get to do that. I loved it from the beginning. I love it now. I'll forever love it. Thanks for taking this walk with me. Have a good day, pal.